You're listening to Ep.4 of the Right Mindset podcast, featuring your host, Sydney Barham, and special guest, Sean Brown. In this week's episode, we talk about stress, community college, transferring to university, and so much more. So get comfortable and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Right Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Sydney Barham, and my special guest today is Sean Brown. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So could you please tell me what your name is, your major, what school you go to, and any extracurriculars you're a part of?
Well, as you introduced it, I'm Sean Brown. My major is kinesiology. I attend Northwest Vista, the community college, part of Alamo Colleges. I guess with extracurriculars, I'm not doing anything like currently amongst the school, but like outside of school, I'm in this flag football league that my friends invited me to. So I've been playing that weekly, probably like a few months now, I'd say.
So how did you get interested in your major?
Honestly, I mean, I've always been an athlete, like growing up, even in high school, playing sports and stuff. So it's weird. I've always been so set on wanting to major in like education, like being a teacher, like full on. But I didn't even know what kinesiology was until like right after I graduated, and I heard it and I was like interested, and I took a deeper dive and I was like, this definitely sounds like me. So I guess just me being an athlete and like being interested in muscles and working out in our body and so forth. So.
Out of all the guests that I've interviewed, I always like to hear how they chose their major because, all of us are different. Some people know what major they're going to pick and some people don't know, so it's really nice that you knew what you wanted to do. So could you
definitely.
Yeah, it's super interesting to hear like about everybody's like different journey, So could you tell me about your transition from high school to college? Like, was it an easy transition? Was it hard? Like, could you tell me about that?
Honestly, I would say, I mean, in the beginning, it was a little rough, only because like I have a later birthday in the school year too. I pretty much turned 18 around the same exact time I graduated. So I guess it was like two milestones in one. And I was just like, what next? And, you have that whole summer where you're pretty much not doing anything. Like you don't have college work, but then you just finish high school. So I also had like a lot of like closer friends like leaving the state and everything in the city. So I guess just being able to do so much in that one summer and then jumping to college and just a lot of people leaving me, it's kind of, it was weird. It was awkward. Like in the beginning, like that fall semester, I was all right and everything. But like towards the end, it just kind of like, I just started like losing motivation. And I feel like my people, like my support and everything, like just kind of, they weren't there for me, even though they were obviously just from a longer distance. It's just, it was a little rough. I would say that every semester, I feel like things have gotten better and better, and I've been able to, learn and transition more into adulthood and having all these responsibilities and so forth. So
that's good. Same with me. My transition from high school to college was a little rough. Because the same as you, all the people around me like started to move like out of state and all this stuff. And so my teachers in high school, they were saying college is going to be much harder than high school, which made me super stressed out because I was like, I'm going to fail, all this crazy stuff. But
yeah, definitely.
The first year was pretty rough, like you said, but now it's easier. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
It's way easier. So after Vista, do you plan to transfer to a different college or are you going to stay there?
As I'm wearing today, UTSA.
Yes, UTSA.
Definitely transferring there. Honestly, I might apply like this summer and just start hopefully by next fall. Can't remember if I told you before, but like I did. I had a semester at UTSA. Because I was in this, I was in some like transfer program. It's called the on-track program, and basically, they had me take like that first fall. I had classes primarily at Vista or completely at Vista, and then that spring it was kind of like a half and half thing. Like I had some classes at Vista and then some at UTSA. But I ended up failing like two classes in the fall because it was kind of tough for me. So I tried to add those two classes on to my typical like 4-class workload. So I was just going to have 2 at Vista, 2 there. But I ended up like 6 classes and even that was hard for me. So it just kind of, like I said, that whole first year was just a little more rough. So
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to have a semester at UTSA, and having that alone is kind of just like, it's got me anticipated to get back on my feet again and, be able to go back. Cause I mean, it's nice. Like they have a lot to offer. It's
Mm-hmm.
one thing I
Yep.
like about it is like, obviously it's a university. So there's plenty, like a lot more people, a
Mm-hmm.
lot more going on, clubs, organizations, stuff like that. I like how it's kind of like an enclosed campus. It's not like a campus that you'll see like in a city. It's kind of just its own area. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's like calm to me. So
That's good. And plus I've never been to UTSA like on foot. I've driven past it,
yeah.
but I've been online since COVID, since 2020. So I've never stepped foot on the
Hmm.
campus, but I've seen it before and it's really like a community, everyone is really
Yes.
close
Very community based.
and
Yes.
it's not like where you go and you don't know where you fit in. There's always going to be something for somebody. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly
UTSA,
what I
woo,
saw walking around. Yeah.
yeah.
Go runners.
So, when assignment due dates are coming up, how do you prepare to get them done in a timely manner?
I've been lucky, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like last few semesters, like every class I've taken never had too heavy of a workload. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me, it's like I just, when I get an assignment, I look at the due dates and then I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I look at what I have throughout the week and I kind of just, like analyze like this day I'll have time to do work, this day I'll have time to do work. So I guess I'd say like I plan out my days and, I set aside time for work. Yeah, pretty much the only other things I'm doing is like my
Mm-hmm.
job work or like I'm just going to the gym. And obviously the gym is like, I try to do that when I have free time. I want to make sure I'm prioritizing school because before I wasn't doing that. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
really just any free time I have, I just try to take advantage. Ideally, I like to do little bits here and there because it'll add up. Even if it's right before the deadline, it's like, oh, I'll only do like a thing or two here and I could finish it. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much just how I try to do it.
It sounds like you have a good schedule going there because I know some people that work and do school and they're like struggling,
Hmm.
I like to hear about how people work around their work schedule because I know so many
Yeah.
people that struggle with work and school, but then I know people that don't struggle with work and they can still do school on top of that. So it sounds like you have a pretty
Yeah,
good schedule.
definitely. For right now, yes, I definitely
Mhm.
would say that.
So when stress kicks in, do you have any positive ways you handle it?
Yeah, honestly, one of the biggest things I do, music. It's always one of like probably my number one thing I do. I like to turn on my music, and then I right after that I put my phone face flat down, and I just
Hmm.
like thank goodness for AirPods.
Yep.
Bluetooth. You could
Yeah.
put a phone like across the room. So I do
Hmm.
that. I try to move to more of like a quiet space. Normally when I have that going, it's like I'm able to sit and kind of like, clear my mind, like, like be able to recognize, what I need to do and so forth. So yeah, it's kind of it just cools me down really. I would say that.
So what kind of music do you listen to like get in the mindset?
Definitely a go-to is like lo-fi music.
Hmm.
Definitely lo-fi. I have my own like playlist. I've been listening to that since probably like middle school. When it comes to that, I don't really know song titles and stuff like that, but I do know
Hmm.
like artists and I just kind of find one song and then I kind of like on Apple Music, I just create a
Hmm.
station. So it just gives me all like related songs and it's either that or even one like a popular thing on YouTube, those like live streams. It's
Oh
like this
yeah.
anime
Uh-huh.
girl with the headphones or
Yeah, the
whatever. Yeah.
lo-fi girl.
Stuff. Yeah, the
Yeah.
lo-fi girl. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Stuff like that. That's definitely a go-to, I would say. Like I like that because there's just like no lyrics. Like sometimes
Hmm.
I'll put on music and it's like lyrical and stuff. And I feel like just hearing those words, just like I'll be trying to do work and maybe I'll like pause for a second and I'm like, I catch onto a lyric I hear or something.
Hmm.
And it's just, I feel like just having no lyrics and just instruments, noises, and so forth is
Hmm.
just always best for me.
Have you tried classical music before? Does that help? Like if
Yes,
you've used it?
I
Okay.
actually have. Yes, I've used that as well. Classical along with like jazz. When it comes to music, I listen to like anything and everything. Like I'm real open to different genres. I've listened to classical music. That's another thing. I don't know like song titles, but if I find one song that's like, classical, then I'll kind of just find my way to more songs. So and
Hmm.
music like that is, I actually, in one of my classes, one of my professors was saying that like there was a study that was talking about how like classical music actually helps you to like focus or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I've tried classical music and I love it. I love that too.
I've heard that before, that classical music like motivates you to do your work.
Yeah.
And I've
It's
tried
weird, but
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I've tried it before and it really works. Because sometimes I'll
Hmm.
listen to music with lyrics, but then I'll get distracted because I'm singing the song. I'm like, I need to be focused on
Yeah,
my work. So I'll turn on classical
exactly. Yeah.
music and it works. It really does help. So how stressed do you feel on a daily basis during the academic year?
Mentioning how my schedule is not too crazy right now. I'm not often stressed. Most of the time when I am stressed, it's more my fault because it'll be me like pushing work aside till the last minute. So I guess that's the only time I'm really ever stressed. Either that or like having a test that I didn't like study for. That's where like
Mm-hmm.
the stress kicks in. But I feel like most of the time with everything I have going now, it's like academic stress could be easily like prevented. Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
just a self thing, like, getting stuff done early or like little bits every day, because if you're prepared for that test, you're not going to
Yep.
stress, and like if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing your work early, you're not worried about like the 11:59 Sunday
Mm-hmm.
deadline. So
Yep.
yeah, I would say not too often, but the only time I am is, doing that, like just kind of pushing things to the side.
Touching point onto the 11:59 deadline, I had a group project that I had to do, I think 2 years ago. And it was so bad because the classmates that I had decided to wait until the last minute. It was like 11:30 something, 11:38 or something like that on the due date.
Yeah,
And I was just like, come on now, guys, just do your part. It's almost
exactly.
11:59.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
everybody got their part turned in at like 11:45. And I was freaking out because I'm someone that likes to do their work early so that I don't have to
yeah,
like be a part of those moments where I'm like, come on, you
yeah,
guys.
definitely.
I was like, oh,
Especially
it
with
was
group projects.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yep, it was terrible. Do you have any like group project horror stories? Like where your group mates didn't turn in their part or you had to do the whole thing by yourself?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I actually just had like a group project due today. I was logging on last night because like it was 4 people. It was mainly majority of it was just me and this one girl who did all of it. Like there was slides set out aside for 2 other people, and I went on to check and they hadn't done it. I was already like in my mind, I was like, do I just do it for them? But then
Mm-hmm.
right as I was like kind of on my phone, but like I put it down and I was like, okay, like let me make sure this gets done. So I was gonna go do some stuff, and then I seen the other girl that was also doing the work with me. She ended up
Mm-hmm.
doing all theirs, and I was like, dang, bro. I was like, I guess she was already one step ahead of me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's like just a little story. It was kind of funny. I texted her like personally, aside from our
Mm-hmm.
group chat. And I
Mm-hmm.
was just asking her, I was like, is there anything else you need me to do? Like, I understand you had to do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was cool because it wasn't like a hard project, but I just felt a little bad. But yeah, I'm the same as you. Like, honestly, in the past, I was like more of like the slacker in my groups. But obviously, as you get older and years go
Mm-hmm.
by, I'm like trying to get my stuff done. And I could understand from being that person and then like being on both sides, like
Mm-hmm.
being the
Yep.
person who hasn't done it and then being the person who has. I understand both sides,
Yep.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be the slacker of the group because those days are
Mm-hmm.
over.
And that's
Yeah.
so crazy because I used to be the slacker. In high school, I would not really do my work. I was like,
Yeah.
freshman year, I didn't do too hot in two of my classes because I just wasn't trying. And I always tell myself now, I was like, Sydney, if you tried a little bit harder, you probably could have been a valedictorian of your school.
Yeah.
But I was like, I just didn't try because I really just went to high school to look good and to meet people. But now that I am in
Yeah.
college, I'm just like the roles have changed. I have different responsibility. I need to make sure that I am doing my best so that I can feel good about myself. And
Exactly.
so,
Yeah. That's key right there.
yep. And just like that girl that you mentioned, I'd be her because with that group project I told you about, I actually wrote an entire paper by myself because our project was to write a paper together, but I did not trust my group mates, so I wrote it by myself. I
Yeah.
never turned it in though, but I was prepared just
Yeah.
in
You
case.
you had it, yeah, just in case. Yeah.
Exactly. So, when you are stressed, how does it affect you?
Definitely, negatively. When I'm stressed, I feel like one of my more like bad habits is like if one thing goes wrong, like multiple things start going wrong, and I kind of let
Hmm.
like spiraling effect, occur. So I guess that's one thing that I do let affect me. Like
Hmm.
if I miss one deadline, I kind of just stop caring for a little bit,
Yep.
and it's like maybe I'll slip up on another thing or
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like I said, it's a bad habit. It's not frequent, but there's been those times. So that's, I guess, the most that it'll affect me. Or that's what it does when it affects me.
And based off that response, how well do you think you cope with stress?
Coping wise, I'd say it's like 50-50. I have my days where it's like I manage it well, and then I have my days where I'm just like, I'm too stressed, I'm not going to do nothing, and I just end up laying around and just literally doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So the good part about it is like whenever it does affect me, it's like normally it's nothing like too major. It'll be like an assignment that I didn't turn in, but it won't be like an assignment that's worth a lot of points, you know what I mean? Like a heavy weighted assignment. So that's the lucky part.
One thing I would say to you for advice is just to pray. You probably hear this all the time from your mom, from your parents, from like so many people. But I can tell you from experience that when I was stressed a long time ago, I would never pray about it. But right when I feel it, I pray and it literally goes away. Like I cannot explain it to you. Like I can feel it leaving my body, like that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever you do feel stressed, just give it to your Heavenly Father, because He'll handle it for you. What are some things that stress you out the most during the current academic year?
Right now, it's kind of funny. So typically, like with all my classes now, I get most of my work early on in the week. And there's this one class in particular, my biology class, where instead of all his assignments being due on Sunday, 11:59, he has his due on Saturday, 11:59.
What?
And so it's like, it's just kind of like weird, because it's like I'm used to Sunday.
Yeah.
So I guess that's like one thing that does kind of, stress me out sometimes. Like I'm looking at the other classes, like, okay, I got to get my work done by Sunday. And if I am like last minute, I forget I have another class where stuff is due Saturday. So it's
that's
like,
weird.
It has like stressed me out a little bit, but like nothing crazy yet. I mean, it's week 5 and as we go along more into the semester, I know and I remember now Saturday, Sunday, but it stresses me out, but I would say it does help me because once I'm like doing my biology work, I start doing my other work because I'm already doing work and it just gets me going. Having that helps me with the other classes, but at the same time, it is more of like a stress factor.
So have there been other classes like that with like the weird schedule? Like this is due on this day, this is due on that day?
Oh, not at all. That's like a first. Like all my work has pretty much been due like Sunday, or if it's like a 1-day assignment, like it's due the next day. But yeah, that's kind of weird for like a weekly assignment.
Really weird.
Yeah, it's different.
To touch base on that, the classes that I'm taking now, one of my professors has our assignments due on Monday at 11:59, and the next one has Tuesday at 11:59. And I'm like,
that's awkward.
Yeah, I'm like, why? Because then it cuts into that week, and then you're doing the work for that week, but you have to submit the work from last week. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's
and then
weird.
you're getting more work too in that new week. It's that sounds weird.
Yeah, I wonder why some professors do that. It's really weird.
Yeah, some of them just are different.
So what does finals week look like for you?
Definitely studying, just going over my notes. One thing I've learned when it comes to like taking notes, handwritten notes will always stick to me the most. So kind of just reviewing, whatever the finals is covering, just going back and reviewing that and making my own personal notes. It's always weird, like finals week, like there's nothing going on. Like I don't have homework. It's more just focus on finals. So like, it kind of gives me more free time to do like studying and notes, just really just preparing, I guess, for the test. Most of the time it's like, studying accordingly to that.
So are you a pen and paper type of guy or are you iPad?
I'm pen and paper for sure.
Pen and paper?
I've tried like the technology, but it's just, I feel like it's in a way like easier. And because it's easier to just type and like get all these words in every 2 seconds, I feel like nothing really like sticks to my brain versus like writing. It's just like it helps. And even just like, it's weird, like the movement of each lettering and like words, it's like, it sticks with me. And then it's like, even when I don't have a pen and like paper, sometimes when I'm like trying to make like a mental note, I kind of just like air write on like an object or something or my leg just to kind of like get it in my brain. It's something I do, but yeah, definitely pen and paper.
There was a study a long time ago that noted that taking notes with a pen and paper helps the information stick better than on digital. And so I'm pen and paper. I like to make sure to write things down because,
Yes.
I just like going back to look at it, and I like the satisfaction of like writing stuff down, That's just me.
Yeah, it
So
looks prettier. You can make it look prettier too.
exactly,
Like
exactly. And
doing
I
the
feel like
technology is a lot more work.
I was just about to say that. I feel like doing stuff digitally is a little harder because you have to like type it
Hmm.
out. It's just too much.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
some
I
people
agree.
work better with the digital, but that's not
Yeah,
me.
some people do. Yeah,
Mhm.
not me.
So do you have any positive advice for any students that are currently going through stress?
I would say honestly, number one, like you said too, praying because
Mm-hmm.
I admit like there are times where I do, and like depending on I guess stress levels, like if it's nothing like I'm stressing crazy over about is when like my head's clear and it comes
Mm-hmm.
to mind to pray. And
Mm-hmm.
so praying is number one for sure. And then number two is kind of just everybody's different. Everybody has
Mm-hmm.
their own ways to cope.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously mine's music, but I would recommend try that, like putting on your favorite tunes and then just
Mm-hmm.
leaving your phone like away from you. That's a big one. Leaving your phone away because I feel like a lot of people nowadays, including me, is like
Mm-hmm.
the phone or like something is just a distraction. So I guess
Yep.
just removing yourself from whatever, you find yourself doing the most. Yeah, that'd probably be my advice, to be honest.
Yeah. That phone, it can get you. You'll be
It
like
can.
in the zone doing your work, and then you get a notification, and then all of a sudden you're
Yes.
like, how do I get on my phone?
Yes. You're scrolling online or something or
Hmm.
social media. So yeah.
And then one more question. Have you ever used Rate My Professor before?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. For
Yep.
every professor. At the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, I've been faced with situations where there's not enough ratings or it's like there's no
Mm-hmm.
ratings. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a gamble, but most of the time, yes, like I'm always trying to use that. It's not often that I have friends that really like have taken a certain professor before. It's really just rate my professor and best judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do judge off of their name, like how nice it sounds.
Oh, really?
Like
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's kind of funny because like
Mm-hmm.
there's a like I think it was like an English class where there was like only a few professors because they had a bunch of classes, and so like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have ratings, and I was just like, okay, this person sounds nice, and I just chose him.
Okay.
But and I was they were nice, they were a cool professor, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just something I did one time, and it's kind of funny to this day. I think about it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe I did that.
So you don't do that anymore? Like based off the name?
Nah, it's really
Okay.
just like rate my professor, and then just
Mm-hmm.
I just put anybody at the end of the day.
I have definitely run into bad ratings for professors, but then they're super nice. There are some professors that I've taken that had like 2.5 stars, 1.3 stars out of 5. And it got me scared because I'm like, okay, all these people are saying that they're a bad professor. But then when I take their class, I'm like, what are people talking about? It'd be
Yeah,
the easiest
exactly.
class. Well, thank you, Sean, for joining me for today's episode. You don't know this, but I
Problem.
went out of my comfort zone with this one because I've never really like communicated with a guy over the phone before or on Zoom.
Uh-huh.
And so
Yeah.
this was really nice being able to chat with you about stress and how you manage it. And yeah, I just had a great time talking to you and learning more about stress in your life. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank you. I
joining me.
appreciate you inviting me and everything.
So, everyone, thank you for watching this week's episode, and I'll catch you guys next week. Stay tuned for next week's episode as you'll hear about my journey with stress. So, I'll see you next week. Bye.